I do think that there's everything that we're seeing. I think it is having an impact on regular people. Check out this story. Bill Maher on crowds hunger for mocking wokeness. Quote, for the first time, I am playing to a mixed audience. Bill Maher dings Democrats for leadership since Trump left office. I would have liked a little more competence.
Yeah.
Bill Maher is not the most, like fall in line kind of guy. He's always been, I'll say what I feel like saying. But when Bill Maher all of a sudden is now getting a mixed audience, I mean, regular people are saying enough. So this is, I think the guy should have taken the red pill a long time ago. It seems like he purposefully ignores these stories. And I do think that I'm willing to bet that Bill Maher, deep down inside, knows how bad it is, how screwed up the establishment and the Democrats are. But he has to be careful because his audience is all liberals.
I mean, look at SNL. They have so much material to work with. They have so many controversies. They have so many hiccups. They have so many just absolute goofball, insane moments. And then they go light on Joe Biden. Compare how they treated Donald Trump. Compare how the media treated Donald Trump. I mean, when Donald Trump was in office, every COVID death was responsibly mainly because of Donald Trump's policies. The numbers are going up. Biden's not being held responsible.
But it's also
for
who
that.
they work for, right? I mean, you take Maher at HBO, the powers that be at HBO are as far left as you can be. He doesn't. I mean, the guy's making a good salary. It's similar to when people say, well, if there are good agents at the FBI or there are good agents at ATF, speak up. Yeah, easier said than done when you're making that kind of salary, living check to check, and you've got a family to support. Not that easy to blow up your career. With a guy like Maher, you blow up your brand, you blow up your influence, you blow up your salary. I'm not saying he shouldn't do it. I mean, thank God he's not Colbert and the vaccine dances.
Oh,
That's
man, that was so
creepy and weird and freaky. But, you got to keep your audience to an extent, so how far can you push?
Yeah, but I think the real issue is Bill Maher lost his audience a long time ago.
He may have, yeah.
I mean, he's retained his viewership. Yeah, I think it's like 800,000, 900,000, viewers per episode. Yeah. Relative to most other late night, it's relatively
high,
low.
but for him, it's yeah. And for him, it's low.
I'll tell you this: I stopped watching a long time ago. Because, I mean, you look at when he came out against the Covington kids. It was a week after the story had already been fact-checked, and then he came out wrong. And I'm like, dude, do you have Google? Like, I can't watch this stuff. And so maybe now he's finally realizing, oh, those people who used to watch me, I used to watch Bill Maher all the time since I was like a teenager. And now I'm older and I'm like, I can't watch that guy. He doesn't even read the news. He probably has somebody read the news for him and tell him what to say, and they don't even fact check anything. Then he comes out and has mangled opinions that don't make sense. But he's now starting to realize what's going on. You mentioned something earlier. We were talking about Joe Biden's approval rating. You said on the three metrics, which is, I think, money, safety, and family.
Overarching.
So
issues.
there are these. I think those are maybe not specifically that those three things, but similarly, they say that if people don't have security, shelter, or food, they revolt. And so when you look at the Arab Spring, people were saying food prices were going up, and so people were backed into a corner. People who are fat and happy don't revolt
ever.
But when the shelves are running dry, the shipping containers are backed up in California, and Fauci goes on TV and says, no Christmas, then people are going to be like, my head is going to explode. And then you see the parents show up. And this is how it starts. We had Bannon on the show. Shout out to Bannon for being right. So the parents are going to revolt when they find out what's happening with their kids. The government reacts. Merrick Garland. Regular people. This is why Bill Maher is actually playing to a mixed audience. Because regular people who are supposed to be his audience the whole time, it's not mixed. This is the same people who used to watch him. They just have been paying attention and he hasn't. I think regular people are on the verge of just snapping off. But you know what?
But most hosts are lazy. I mean, I'm going to say something about my industry, your industry. We know this, right? I enjoyed the research, but most hosts are not most, but a good portion are lazy.
Yep.
They come in, they sit down, they hope the prompter is already filled out by their producers. It's been populated. They get the stories, they get some clippings, they go through the motions. They even when they're supposed to be opinion commentators, I won't name any names, but they're lazy as sin. And with that laziness comes terrible content, a lack of critical thought, a lack of critical research, and it happens on both sides, and unfortunately it's happening more on the right, and we're the ones who really need to be doing this. I was here with you guys for a few hours. You guys were researching intensively. I used to do that on my show. I could tell you, having been on radio, two major networks, having been on TV, that's not the norm. Sadly, that's an exception these days.
Yeah, there's a lack of passion. There's a lot of actors, and there's a lot of people who abuse substances in the media business more than you would even be surprised to know.
Get out.
A lot of them are using substances, pills, in ways that you would be absolutely shocked to find out about.
But they just rely on their producers. These producers cycle through, right? Oftentimes you find these producers are in their early 20s, zero life experience. They don't know the backstory on the story. They're reading the history of it, who the players are, what a player in the Biden administration might have done nefariously in the Obama administration. That's deep research, that understanding of the content. The historical understanding just isn't there.
Well, a good example is when we had Vosh on the show.
Yeah.
And I was talking about, to me, it's funny that to see these leftists supporting Joe Biden because we were literally protesting him during Occupy Wall Street. Like, he was the vice president. He was he was a large portion of what people were angry with. The bank ballots, all this stuff, it was under the Obama administration. And he went, I was like, I don't know, 10 years old. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. And I don't mean to disrespect by that. He literally wasn't politically active or old enough to understand what was happening during Occupy Wall Street. And so, I think people need to realize this. When you wonder why the leftward shift happened, it's because young people don't know anything about politics, and the right didn't do a good enough job teaching young people. So what happens is the old school right has effectively been they're just gone. They're older folks, and now you have this millennial right, which is fairly moderate.
Yeah.
So the wheel is shifting. Then you get these people like, Jack Dorsey and others. Now I'll give a shout out to Jack Dorsey for shouting out, Rothbard and things like that.
That surprised me.
Yeah, that was surprising. But you get the people working, these millennial leftists at big tech, and they infiltrate cultural institutions, they take over, and then all of a sudden anyone who is, further right than moderate is excised. But I think, with the Maher stuff, I bring it up because I think it's a good example of regular people reaching their wits' end. They're waking up. But I don't want to be too optimistic. Maybe there will be a big red wave. Maybe people just don't care.
No, I think the numbers show there will be. I met with a couple, I had lunch today, with a couple of pretty astute political strategists, one pretty well known on our side, on the America First side, and they're encouraged by the numbers. They're encouraged by what they see in 22. So I think we do see a red wave. But going back to your point about the culture, we are so far behind. I mean, we are... I don't know how we catch up. And part of the problem is we don't even understand. So many on the right don't even understand what taking back the culture means. I have these debates, and even when I was on air and off air and on Twitter, and they'll say to me, but we have Dinesh. Now, look, I think Dinesh is a great guy. I love the guy. I know him personally. But that's not what we mean. You can't say we have Dinesh when they have Hollywood. And they have the music industry, and they've got the television industry, and they've got every producer, and they've got their line of succession at the journalism schools ready to take over, who are more, those millennials you talk about, Tim, who are even more left-wing. They've got their generational lines of succession in place for 2 generations, and we're talking about documentaries. I mean, we are foundationally so far behind. I don't know how we make
You got to
that
build
ground
technology that allows people to take it back for themselves individually. The metaverse is the way to go. Culture comes downstream from the technology of the day, and then downstream from that, you start to see politics created out of it.
Who controls Silicon Valley, though?
Well, a lot of very strange, weird, rich people right now. The idea is no one controls it. It's a neutral ability for everyone.
So that's one of the things that we're working on with the Open Network Foundation. Some of the work that Ian's been spearheading is, open source social media technology so that people can't be banned. But that's just the machine. Like, you're talking about building an Iron Man suit. Someone's got to pilot it. So how do you get to the point where the right, and I don't mean like the political right, I mean like the culture war right, whatever it really means, the pro-freedom people, let's say that.
Yeah.
The pro-liberty, individual liberty, the pro-America, America first. How do you get those people to start building culture? Well, I'll put it this way. You've got to start doing it, and you've got to go faster than they're doing it. That being said, when you look at Colbert doing the vaccine shuffle or whatever, I'm not all that worried. I think, look, this is what we're doing at Timcast.com. When you guys become a member, we've got the Cast Castle vlog, which was the first show we launched. Of course, we have this show, and we have, I do my show and this show. This is overt discussion about political issues. It's in your face. It's super liminal. But then we have the Cast Castle vlog where we have the dogs running around. We get the chickens, they're funny and they make funny noises. And then we have jumping over the Tesla on a BMX, and we have skating, and we go to the river, and we go to the technology stores. We go buy a bunch of weird rocks. That is just fun, random, interesting stuff.
But that's culture.
That's culture.
That's culture.
And so the goal is, now we just launched Tales from the Inverted World with Shane Cashman hosting it. It's mystery, paranormal, ghosts, cryptids, true crime. And the goal is produce good cultural content and have your values translate out through it. So when we start doing, we're working on a new pop culture show. When we start doing that, it's going to be talking about a lot of general pop culture stuff. It's not going to be political, but of course you're going to hear these opinions like don't ruin James Bond, and it's going to be very defensive of good content, so it's going to be critical of Hollywood. And that's the kind of thing where you create a space for regular people who share your values to grow and flourish, and for the kids to find a space where they can get good values and good ideals and share them. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.